Good evening, and what is up, Razorback Nation and Razorback family? Welcome into Hawgs on the Hill, your go-to podcast for an in-depth dive into Arkansas sports. This is episode 74, and we are brought to you by our friends over at Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Founded right here at home, and now run by Razorback loving family. Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool, so go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us and our friends over at Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. You can check them out today, and if you are in Northwest Arkansas, check out the Core Brewery Tap Room, where you can get Scarlet Letter in all of its various flavors, as well as the new hard iced teas. Thursday night, we're 2 days away from yet another Arkansas football Saturday. I think it's safe to say we're all excited about that, but even more excited that it's basketball season.
Almost over.
So how are you guys tonight?
Yeah, I'm glad it's almost over. Yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm ready to know who this next coach is, and I think it's getting pretty close to us knowing. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you got Stranger Things coming out next week, Thanksgiving next week. So a lot to look forward to other than Arkansas football. We got Duke next Thursday night too. So that should be a game. It should be a telling game. So hopefully we get a lot of people to show up to that. I know it's in Chicago though, but still, hopefully we have a decent crowd there. But yes, it's interesting times.
Agreed. So yeah, we'll dive into some football in a minute. We're going to have, like I said in the tweet, we're going to have the Longhorn Republic pod, our fellow college huddle members, joining us here in a little bit. But before we do, we got to talk about the game Tuesday night. Arkansas basketball beats Winthrop 84-83. Game back and forth all night with some excitement at the end. Arkansas manages to pull out this game where their opponent shoots 50% from the three-point line. You outshoot them from the free throw line by, 15 shots. But, why does it never fail that any team that walks into Bud Walton seems to automatically be able to shoot lights out from three?
Yeah, bro, to be honest, that kid, the Royser, hit 7 of them. And the thing is, he was open maybe a couple times, but 5, 6, 4 or 5 of those, he had a hand in his face. He was, who he reminded me of? That guy from Vanderbilt a couple years ago, like real short, stocky dude. You know who I'm talking about? Just jacked up threes like that on us. I cannot remember his name. I'll look for it in a second, but I don't know. Like, there's not a lot you can do. It was just kind of one of those games, and Arkansas's defense is kind of, slowed down over the last couple of games, but I think this was just a little bit more of the ball just going in the net for Winthrop than it is Arkansas's defense really sucking. At the same time, they held them to 0 points in the last 2 minutes, and without that, Arkansas doesn't win this game. So, yeah, I don't think my heart should be beating that hard for Winthrop, but still, Razorback or Bud Walton kind of sounded like Bud Walton of old for a minute too. So, I'm happy with the result. I'm happy for some things, but yeah, it was just it was a whirlwind of a game.
Yeah,
they could miss. That's what a lot of people don't understand about basketball is sometimes. And like you said, Austin, some of them were open, some of them were well contested. And not just that, they were shot from the logo. Several of them were shot from the logo. So let's stop acting like Arkansas just wasn't even playing defense. These guys are shooting shots that shouldn't be going to the basket at the time. And they just were on fire. So They played, like Cal said, they played well enough to win the game. We got fortunate at the end that it turned out the way it happened. So this is I'm glad it's over with now, and we should have a very winnable, like maybe 30, 40 point win coming Friday. I would hope we do against the team we're about to play.
Keyword should, but yes.
Yes.
So it's like the basketball equivalent of, these field goal kickers nowadays hitting, 50, 60 yards like it's nothing. That's the equivalent. This basketball, these kids out there hitting the shots from the logos, like it's insane. But, you dive into this game for Arkansas yet again. It's one of the freshmen that shine and lead this team. Malik Thomas, 26 points, 10 of 20 from the field, 3 of 8 from deep, 3 of 4 from the line, has 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 34 minutes of play, followed by, Trevor Brazil with 14, 5 of 6 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line. Surprising stat, Brazil did not attempt a single 3 in the game.
That is surprising, yeah, because he's kind of been pretty confident from there, and he's kind of hit them. So yeah, that's a little bit strange, but still, he had a pretty good game.
By the way, in rebounds with 8.
By the way, it wasn't Vanderbilt. It was Missouri. Black and gold versus black and yellow. Nick Honor, remember Nick Honor from Missouri?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, that's who that Rozier guy reminded me of, because he was
the
like
guy that looks like he was in his mid-40s, just hooping at the YMCA.
Yeah, basically he looked like he should be over like a mechanic or something, That's what that dude reminded me of, and it gave me flashbacks. I did not like it.
Yeah, and then Brazil also added 4 blocks on the night too in 35 minutes, and then Nick Pringle, the talk of that final few seconds of the game. We talked about previously how, hey, we need more out of these guys. Well, he hurt us or something, because he came out and, quietly put up 13 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks on the night. And, of course, we have to talk about the, incident with the final 10 seconds where, Nick Pringle scores the basket that that wins the game for Arkansas, essentially. And then if you look at it in full speed moment, it makes you look a little bit questionable, like, hey, what's going to happen, knockdown, drag out here. But then you watch the replay. Winthrop's guy is clearly at fault there, because he gets the rebound. He's walking towards baseline, puts the ball and his arms around Pringle's neck, and then just slings him to the ground. Not to mention there's another Winthrop guy laying on the floor in front of Pringle's feet, so it's not like he can easily just step out of the way. Unfortunately, double technicals there, offsetting. But what were your guys' thoughts initially around all that happened and such?
I mean, I was like, oh, well, Arkansas just lost this game. Because initially I saw that, and I saw him throw him back on the ground. I was like, no way. Or no way Arkansas wins this game. Because that's a foul. That's a tech, plus they get the ball back. No way. And then you see the dude put him in a headlock and put him on the ground. I'm like, yeah, that's got to be double text. Now, I was worried about Sealy and, I didn't know DJ Wagner came on the floor, but I was worried about Sealy because that's also a foul or an ejection. I didn't know if it would be a tech and they'd get shots for it or not, but it ended up being 2 guys on their team, 2 guys on our team, then double techs. So it just evened out, and you would hate to lose on something like that too,
right?
Especially when both guys lost their cool. So it's not like Arkansas should have been penalized for more than Winthrop. It came out even. That's what they should have done. And then they held them and put the game away. But boy, man, I was really getting pissed that's how that game was going to end up.
Too much for a mid to late November game,
right? Yeah,
like I had work the next day, man.
Yeah,
He can do that
when I
to you.
first saw it, I sent out a tweet that I quickly deleted because I thought Pringle really messed up there, and so yeah, the guy kind of slung him down, but Pringle literally grabbed his jersey and brought him back up to the floor and pushed him back down. You can't do that. And I know he acknowledged that
Yeah.
he shouldn't have done it after the game, but I need a little bit more from a senior that's been around for a while. Sealy coming off the bench, I understand that. Freshman Wagner was trying to drag him back, but yeah, you can't have that happen because it's gonna moments like that's gonna happen again. So you got to keep a clear head next time. Hopefully, he learns from this because you can't have that happen in a close game.
Right, especially in March or something like that.
Because most of the time, they call the retaliate. I can't even say retaliation.
The retaliation player gets called.
They call that most of the time. Luckily, they went to the replay and saw and didn't make that the case. I'm surprised because we've been getting screwed by refs quite a bit here lately. So, but yeah, so it's interesting because this team is not playing. They're not playing together yet. You clearly see they're not playing really well together. And I think he's still trying to find the right rotations. So we got a little time to figure that out. Not a whole lot. We got a pretty big time beast we got to play on Thursday.
Yeah. And here's the good thing about that. I think Arkansas can score with anybody though.
Yeah.
Now the Michigan State game was troubling. I mean, they only scored like 67 points there or 66, whatever it was.
It was troubling until you saw what they did at Kentucky.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That, oh my gosh. That was so funny.
Calling our residential Kentucky fan that likes to jump in the comments sometimes. It's like, where are you at now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They ain't coming. They ain't coming right now. Because Arkansas still has only one loss. They got two. That's all I'm gonna say. I know there's been a difference in people what Arkansas's played versus them, but I'm saying Arkansas is gonna probably beat Louisville, and Kentucky didn't. So that, and Ken Palm, you guys suck. You had them as a top 5 team. Like, y'all suck, dude.
There's still several people that don't even have us ranked. And it's crazy. Michigan State plays Duke right after we play them. So
right, you can keep engaging each. Yeah. And then, we were talking about it before we jumped on here too. Earlier tonight, Purdue beats Memphis, who Arkansas played with the other night, or in the exhibition game. Memphis played them to 9 points, and it was going back and forth the lead until Purdue pulled away late in that game. So, I mean, even look at some of these teams Arkansas played, and so yeah, I think that's the big thing is trying to fine tune that rotation. It's like you look at the minutes from the game the other night. Pringle played 28, Malik Ewan played 7. So they're trying to figure out. You've got to have a big on the floor, and who's it going to be that's going to get a majority of those minutes. And we've talked about it and about what the Michigan State game showed you, and it was that our bigs need to be more physical. So I think that's what's going to lead to more minutes for these guys is between especially Pringle and Ewan. Which one of those guys will come out and be more physical?
What I'm interested in is how does your veteran guys play against Duke? Brazil was terrible against Michigan State. Carter Knox, I know it's his first game back. He was not good. How do you get – because those are the guys that make the team run. When the guards are doing their thing, you got the forwards like Brazil and Knox. We've got to have their three-point shooting, their ability to drive and get buckets inside too. And, of course, their defense. Their defense is huge too. And then, of course, so those two guys are going to have to show up when we play teams like Duke. So I'm very interested to see that.
Well, and because the other thing, too, is it's been clear and obvious from game one that no matter what, Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, they're going to get theirs each game. That's just how it's going to be. So it's who's going to be kind of that third, fourth guy that's going to come in there and help you. you would expect Trevor Brazile should be one of those guys, and then a guy like we've talked about before, Carter Knox, is expected to be, take his game to the next level this year. And then, you've got an experienced guy like DJ Wagner. Your bigs that you brought in, you'd hope that Nick Pringle or Malik Ewing can be one of those guys that can step up. And then a guy like Billy Richmond too. I mean, you've got a number of guys that can, should, and probably at some point will step up. At some point in the season, each one of them is probably going to have their moments where they step up and have a big game, and that's part of it. But, you're going to know you're going to be able to count on Thomas and Acuff 100% every game.
And even because one of those guys will have a bad night. Darius Acuff didn't have a great night. I mean, 3 for 10. The Jews just couldn't hit it. Second half was a point. Well, yeah, but what do you call it? The second half was a little better, but still, he just didn't have it, right? But he has it. He just didn't have it last night or Tuesday night. Still got 12 points, right? But you're kind of depending on him to get like 15, 17, 20 points a game. You need somebody, and this is all you really need. You need somebody on this team to get those 5, 6 extra points.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly. So, it could be a rotating door essentially of players that are going to be that guy. You'd like to see a consistent 3 of Thomas, Acuff, and Brazile being those top 3 guys every game. That's what you would think, especially, all the hype that Brazile got in the preseason. Cal saying, hey, this is the guy we saw March of last year. He's coming in with that intensity. I've never seen him, come in so locked in and ready to go. And like we mentioned, he had that bad game against Michigan State where he's in foul trouble, didn't necessarily have his best game. And that was the key thing, was how does he respond from that? Of course, we know he missed the next game with a back injury. But, following that, his next game out, what does he actually do? And, does he let that get to his head? Well, if you just go back and look at it, again, missed this UCA game due to the back injury. But you look at Samford, Brazile comes out and puts up 15 points. So he kind of bounces back and gives you kind of what you expect from him, gives you 15 points and 7 rebounds. So, he was able to bounce back, and that's what you need to be able to see out of this team is when guys have a bad game. All right, bad game, bounce back.
Those blocks he made on the 3-point shot.
I was about to. Yeah,
those were crazy. Like they thought, I got another 3. Bam!
Yeah. And here's the thing: that is length and athleticism, yes, but that is also effort. And what was I talking about on Sunday night? Effort. You want to see more effort out of these guys. Trevor Brazile has probably the most effort that I've seen in the 4 years he's been here. Right now, it's insane. That one where he hit that dude on the baseline, like he was in the lane and still blocked the 3-point shot from the guy on the baseline. That's insane.
Well, and part of this too is if you remember in SEC media days, Cal challenged Brazile and a guy that he was like, you need to have 4 or 5 blocks a game.
Yeah.
Not to mention be a walking double-double. He's not quite there yet. 14 points, 8 rebounds. He's very close. But, that's the type what you want to see a stat line from Brazile. Close to a double-double, if not a double-double, and add 3, 4, 5 blocks on, a night. And, that's what this team will need to have success going forward. And then so you look at it, too, quickly. We'll give a quick preview. We'll do more of that next week. But let's talk about this. Of course, we'll play Jackson State on tomorrow, but these bigs are going to be key when we play Duke next week, because who is their best player?
Boozer, yeah. The kid, like we're talking about Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, he's getting like 20 points a game and like 10 rebounds. Like we're talking about walking double-double. Yeah, this guy is that. Like they're going to have a handful. But I would not be surprised if they put like Trevin Brazil on him, to be honest with you, because he's got the length and athleticism that can
challenge him
probably,
with the athleticism. Exactly.
yeah, that's probably what they're going to do. At the same time, they're probably going to have at least, which I'm counting Brazil as two bigs on the floor at all times, right? They're probably going to have Pringle or Ewan with Brazil, or Pringle and Brazil, or Pringle and Ewan at the same time. That's probably what they're going to have to do. Maybe a little bit of double teams on them, but they're going to probably have to crowd the paint. I'm not sure how good their 3-point shooting is, though, so I don't know. We'll have to get to it when we get to it, but that's the scary matchup for real.
Well, because if you look at it too, Boozer leads Duke in every category as far as the big key categories, except for steals. He leads them in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. Through the first 5 games of the season, he's averaging 29.8 minutes a game, 21.6 points, 10.4 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.4 blocks. He's shooting 51% from the field, 76% from the line, and 34% from 3. So he's their do-it-all guy.
It's insane that he's doing that in 29 minutes.
Right. It's not like he's playing 38, 39 minutes a game.
Right.
So it's definitely interesting. So,
it's not like they played scrubs this entire time too. They played Texas and they played KU. So
right, exactly. And so, that's going to be where you want to throw all your, you're going to be throwing your bigs at and forcing, one of their other guys to beat you in this game, because, I mean, you look at their other guys on the team. Isaiah Evans, they're one of their starting guards, averaging 24.6 minutes a game. He drops all the way down to averaging 13.6 points a game. And then Cameron's brother, Caden, plays 22 minutes a game and averages 7 points. So if you can get out there, kind of your Trevor and Brazil, probably, a platoon, if you will, Brazil, Knox, Pringle, whoever it may be, say, all right, we're shutting down Boozer. Let's make the rest of their team beat us.
Yeah.
How about we get in the paint and get these guys in foul trouble? That's what Michigan State did to us.
And that's part of it. I mean, you've got to have and that's what I want to see. Let's see our bigs be more physical, get in the paint, and go to the line. I mean, we saw that in this Winthrop game. Arkansas shot 22 free throws. Pringle went to the line 4 times. Brazil went to the line 4 times. Even your guards like Acuff and Thomas, drive to the basket as well. So that's what's going to be key going forward, is these guys being physical and, taking it to the other teams. So,
yeah.
But as I said, we've got Jackson State coming up tomorrow night, 7:00. So tune in for that. Arkansas should be able to take care of business at home, like we said before. Big Thanksgiving Day game against Duke next week. So with that, we're getting ready to talk some Arkansas football as Arkansas heads down to Austin to take on.
We have to?
Unfortunately, Hobbs, we do. Being an Arkansas Razorback show, we have to. So with that, we've got Kyle from Longhorn Republic joining us tonight to talk about this game. He is part of Longhorn Republic and the College Huddle. Kyle, welcome in. How's it going?
Thank y'all for having me. It's one of those things. I get to come on here and talk to y'all, and it's going to be a good time. It's 3-on-1. That's more wins than Arkansas. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to start it that way. That's not what I'm doing. I'm coming here to Olive Branch to be a friend. I've said it on our podcast many times. I'm terrified. Y'all are the most dangerous 2-win team in the country by exponents.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's crazy to me like you said, how dangerous this team can be. Yeah, it's tough to find a win. And we find new ways to lose the game. It's like we were talking about it last week. All right, last week is not a fumble or anything, but you missed a field goal that puts you up in the game. So it's like we're finding new creative ways on how to lose.
Yeah. I saw y'all talking college basketball. I know Ken Palm has the luck rating for basketball, but I found one for football, and y'all are 136 out of 136. You are officially by their metric, the unluckiest team in college football. So you got that going for you.
I was about to say that sounds about right. Just, from watching the season and, from our biased perspective of just being a Razorback fan, on the world's against us and we're just unlucky as can be.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. Like you said, I don't have hate in my heart for the Razorbacks. I tried to drum up a little right there to start it. It wasn't until high school that I was a Longhorn fan, and I remember loving the Peyton Hillis and Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, like especially on video games. Man, I used to kill with y'all. Matt Jones was a monster. So my hatred, I've had to learn it for Arkansas as I got older. So I had a lot of years there. I didn't have any ill feelings.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get that from us. We're all bored.
And that's just fine.
Razorback
That's just fine.
fan.
Like I said, y'all are born into it, man. My dad's from Pennsylvania, and I spent my whole life in Texas. But I grew up a Penn State fan because that's that was what you had up there. So it wasn't until high school when I figured, I don't want to go to college all the way in Pennsylvania, and I went to UT that all of a sudden I was like, all right, I gotta gin up some hate. So that the Texas Bowl, I was there when y'all stuffed us in the locker. So there's plenty of hate and opportunities that I've built up recently. So it's just not historic is all I'm saying, for me at least.
Right. Yeah. So going into this week, I think it's safe to say for both sides here, the season hasn't went anywhere near how we thought it would go for either of our teams. And for different reasons, Arkansas having the bad luck of, the turnovers and, defense not being what you thought it would be. The people comparing to, you have a Ferrari of an offense parked in a dilapidated shed out back of a defense. And, for you guys, I think the big talk's been Arch hasn't been what he was hyped up to be going into the season. And, what's your thoughts around that? And, with being 10 game, we're week 13 here. Sitting at 7-3, like what's your thought on that from a Texas perspective?
Yeah, I mean, you talk Texas, you got to start with Arch, right? I think he's his statistical output's a little bit less than what I expected, but I don't think I ever had him winning the Heisman personally this year. I never really worried about him being in the draft this year. I expected a little bit better. I think he started to put things together a bit here lately. If you look at his passing stats, they're real close to Taylor Green's. Actually, he just doesn't have the rushing that Green does. But he's been let down a lot by lately his receivers, but all season his offensive line. I mean, Arch is the highest pressure rate in the SEC, one of the highest pressure rates in the country. I mean, you can't. I don't know. I guess maybe Taylor Green, you put a quarterback who can run just back there, but it's hard for anyone. Like Georgia had like 25, I think it's 25 pressures last week, 30 hurries, 30 hurries, 25 pressures. Like those are crazy numbers for a Georgia D-line that's not your grandfather's, or even your slightly older uncle's Georgia. This is just not a good offensive line from what it was the past few years. And so, yeah, I think, look, there's some things with Arch, and he'll be the first to admit it. And I appreciate that actually about him more than I ever expected to, is he'll say, I didn't have a great game. I didn't put that ball where I needed to. He'll own it pretty quickly. But he's also made some incredible throws that hit receivers in the hands and just fell to the floor. 5 drops against Georgia last week, and they were all like third down, should have been completions, money down throws. So I think there's something from Arch there. Like, I would love to see him use his legs to complement a little bit more when things weren't going earlier in the season. But he's getting hit enough when he's getting hit, 20 times throwing the ball, that I also want him to be healthy. So it's a balance. Like I said, I think Arch still has a lot of, NFL talent and has college football successful talent. I just don't think this year his ceiling is going to be what it can be as long as the offensive line is, doesn't have it figured out.
I was about to say, we're talking about unlucky. Well, I guess it's not really unlucky, but you guys really had those problems against Georgia, and it was, pretty rough to watch. But at the same time, you also had bad luck with an injury, at least one with Ant Hill, and I know that he's from watching some podcasts and reading some like Texas media. I mean, he's a kind of like the guy back there. Plus, he's really good at as a coverage linebacker, and facing Arkansas's offense, which is really pretty decent pass game. Especially they like to hit the middle of the field. How is that gonna affect this game going forward for the Longhorns?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, you can't really replace Ant Hill, right?
Right.
What that guy can do, he's a great run stuff and linebacker like you want him to be, right? Big, fills exactly when you want him to, where you want him to, reacts quickly. Like you said, very underrated in coverage. Got a couple interceptions this year to put to his name, but he's great in his drops. He's quick to react, turns his hips well. The thing that I also love about him, there was was it Vanderbilt? No, it wasn't Vanderbilt. It was a couple weeks ago. He had like 2 sacks in the game, but he didn't blitz the passer until the fourth quarter, and he had 2 sacks in consecutive drives. And I think it was on like 3 or 4 pass rushes. Like, he's an elite pass rusher as well. They just don't use him as that. He's also probably our best spy. So a game where you have Talon Green's legs, that would have been nice to have, just to see how they could deploy him multiple ways. I think Texas will keep a spy on him. Obviously, I think that's pretty smart thing to do. The thing that's interesting actually is the 2 best players on the defense, Anthony Hill and then Colin Simmons, are probably our 2 best spies. The thing you don't realize with Simmons, because he has all the sacks, he's one of PFF's highest Power 5 run graded defensive ends as well. And we spy him a lot. Like, that's a little wrinkle that they roll out. They did it against Oklahoma. And it threw him for some loops, because you expect that guy's coming at you. But when you're, fastest, best defensive end, all of a sudden drops back and spies a quarterback. And then they bring someone else in his place, kind of simulated pressure. So Kwiatkowski has some things like that he'll do. But you can't replace Anthony Hill. The nice thing is we have a young linebacker, Ty Anthony Smith, who's been playing hair on fire. And we have another linebacker at the beginning of the year. If you happen to watch the Ohio State game, you thought, man, Texas has a couple really good linebackers. Leona Lafau was playing exactly how we all wanted him to. And he's kind of regressed through the season. So there's some opportunity for someone to step up. Again, Texas has a lot of good defense. They're deep in the defensive end room. So I wonder, even if you see some weird stuff with, like 3 defensive ends and they're dropping one back, like, this might get a little interesting how they want to play this, because it's Ferrari is the right analogy. We talked about it a lot on our podcast. Arkansas is the best half team in the country. There's no team with a bigger disparity between their 2 units in the country. And so we spent a lot of time on our podcast this week. Folks can check that out, Longhorn Pod. But spent a lot of time this week talking about that Arkansas offense. Talk a little bit about your defense too. But that offense terrifies me. And if Ant Hill's not there, again, Taft as a secondary, as a safety, has to step up. Another spy has to be there. They have to get pressure on him, but also contain and not let him slip. Have to look at your running game, right? Like, you got big, strong, productive running backs. You got tight ends who like to disappear and pop back up 50 yards down the field. So there's a lot of things for a defense to watch. And I would love to have our captain, our best player, out there for this one. So that's a big loss, no doubt.
Yeah. The thing there is, you mentioned the offense, after these few games is, if you can, from a defensive side of the ball, if you can get out there early and frustrate Talon, it's been clear through these past couple of games. If he gets frustrated early, he's going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you saw that last week with against LSU. He throws 2 picks in the first half. One of those not necessarily being his fault, but, the first one, he's getting pressured. He throws in triple coverage and it gets picked off. The second one, to me, the wide receiver doesn't finish his route and, it's a pick. And so, we've seen that this season where when he's got his confidence going, he's making big plays and he's rolling. Yeah, he's going to be hard to stop. But if you can get out there early, frustrate him, make him get out of the pocket, get some incompletions there. He very much is a quarterback that, he gets frustrated and he starts making mistakes.
Yeah, he does seem like the guy who beats himself more than anyone else beats him, right? It's a lot of times like, even when he knows like this play should work. I was watching some just clips on him, and it's like you see him lock in on a receiver and he's not getting off that receiver, and it's I can understand that'd be frustrating if you're watching him every week. But again, I'm hoping the Kukowski, our coordinator, and Dwayne Aquina, who was our defensive backs coach back in the glory days, the true DBU days, who came back this year. Like, I'm hoping they have some things that can between pressure and then coverage, just give him some looks, mess with his eye discipline, try to make him get thinking twice about what he's going to do with the football before he either just throws a laser or takes off and hurts us. So I think this is a big test. Like, we have the Aggies next week, and I said on our Monday podcast that this is like, Texas doesn't have a lot of like rivalry games at DKR, right? Every year our big rivalry game, OU, is in the Cotton Bowl. We haven't played the Aggies at home in over a decade. I think the Razorbacks last came in 2008, something like that. So I'm hoping that the crowd is a help too, because we get 2 rivalry games at home to close the season. We've been on the road a lot. All of our worst games where we've looked bad have been on the road. I mean, we lost in the Horseshoe, we lost in the Swamp, we lost between the hedges. Like, if you lose at a place that starts with the or something in front of it, it's like, all right, that's tough. But Texas is tough at home, and so the crowd, I'm hoping, shows up and we get a little bit of that extra advantage on the defensive side, because I think we're going to need every bit we get.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a point that you bring, is you used it with the linebacker you were talking about early in the season, and that's one thing I think we've seen Taylor Green regress from our perspective is you saw him last year, a guy 100% his favorite target, Andrew Armstrong, easily didn't really look for anybody else. Going into this season, we're like, okay, how does he do? Does he kind of pick one guy, stick with it? Well, the first half of that season, he did really well about spreading the ball across a lot of guys. And to your point, though, it seems like as he gets frustrated in games and gets thrown off, he kind of reverts back to wanting to look for that one guy. And then, that guy this year being Omega Blake.
Yeah.
He starts trying to lock in on that one guy again. And so that's something that, I have noticed is, this last half of the season, to me, he's regressed a little bit in that aspect, especially when he gets frustrated out there and, mistakes start to happen.
Yeah, I'm curious. We talked about the linebackers of the secondary. The matchup that I'm really curious about is y'all's offensive line versus the Texas defensive line, running and passing. I think Texas is really stout in the interior defensive line and has some playmakers there as well. And they run a bunch of different bodies, so they don't really get tired. Like, they'll go 6 deep and feel pretty good. Against Georgia, our big freshman stud Justice Terry played 7 snaps and had 4 tackles at the end of the game. Like, they could. That's 8. They're 7 deep if you include him. So I mean, it's they have a lot of interior pressure, which I know y'all are going to run the ball as well. Petrino offense, isn't. We've talked a lot of passing, but isn't going to not run the ball. But when you talk about Green, I do wonder, can Texas get pressure with 4 and a spy? Right? Can they get downhill without losing secondary containment? Can they beat a lineman and get into his face? We've batted down a lot of balls this year too. Our especially our Trey Moore and Ethan Burke, are kind of other 2 defensive ends who play a lot. And obviously Brad Spence, y'all know him, but with Moore and Burke, especially Burke he was a lacrosse player, has like a 8-foot wingspan. He's just he's huge. They get their hands on balls. And so, it's like, can you get there? Okay. If not, can you do the push off and get ready to jump and knock balls down? And, that frustrates a quarterback. Like, I've never, any quarterback I've ever talked to, and Arch actually said it in media days. They said, like, they asked him a question, something. And I love that his answer, they asked him kind of about like all the hype and what's the worst part about being, and he said, someone batting down my passes, like, he's just like, football. I care about this, and that pisses me, So, but yeah, like that'll get in the quarterback's head real quick. You're like, I got the man. Oh, it's batted down. So anyways, yeah, that to me, the matchup is our defensive line against y'all's offensive line.
Right, and that's why I'm glad we have one Taylor Green that is 6'6". So at least he's got some height there.
It's true. I forget how tall he is. Yeah, he's huge, man. It's fast, being that fast and being that big. He's playing in the NFL. I hope he plays quarterback, but he could play any position on the field. He's that athletic and big. So,
yeah, that's a good point. Texas's defensive line against Arkansas's offensive line, I think that's probably, if not the key matchup to look, one of the biggest matchups to look for during this game. And I think that defensive end going back as a spy, that kind of terrifies me too, because the times that Arkansas has given up pressure with four rushers, it has been when they do something like that, when they pull a defensive lineman and they blitz a linebacker, and usually it's right up the middle too, so there's no chance for Taylor to get away. So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest fear in this game is watching something like that take place. But I kind of want to talk a little bit, not about Arkansas versus Texas, but a little bit about Texas, because I found this weird. I was listening to Orange Bloods. I don't know if you consume their content or not. But there was one dude on it that called Sark a Mac Brown 2.0. And I was like, that's a little bit that's a little rough. Yeah. But one of the points he made is that he's such a good play caller that now that he's juggling all this stuff as a head coach, it's kind of falling behind a little bit. And I can kind of see that. And the thing is, you look at Bobby Petrino, and we're talking about this offense being a Ferrari. Well, it's kind of had a breakdown the last few weeks, to be honest with you. 24 points against Auburn and then 22 against LSU. Not very good. I'm wondering if that's something that Sark's going to have to, give up those play calling in the future. And what do you think about his play calling now? And do you think that he'll have to do that in the future?
It's long been a serious point of conversation, right? It's very hard and it's very rare. Actually, I think you go back to Jimbo Fisher as the last play caller to win a national championship, and no one wants Jimbo Fisher to be their head coach, not today, anyways. So it's hard to do. Like it really truly is, right? I think Ryan Day tried that for a long time and gave it up, and he finally won the national championship. So for a program like Texas, with the resources that we have, the expectation is you should be up towards the top, and you need to be winning football games. And the idea that Texas fans have is if there's a problem, just replace it, right? It's this, put in this. If you need a linebacker, go get a linebacker. And it's not that simple, obviously. I think Texas struggled with some roster construction. They had some blind spots. I think Sark had some blind spots this year on how he constructed that offense. It didn't go for a portal for an offensive lineman when we lost 4 guys to the pros. Like that, there's a lot of trust that you have in your group. Sometimes that comes back to bite you. Saw it there. Probably a lot of loyalty to one of the highest paid running back rooms, if you believe the rumors, in the country. And I think they have the lowest yards after contact of any group in the Power 5. So just hadn't been good. And, part of that's our supposed to be star running back, consecutive injuries, including an ACL. And he just really never looked the same. Right. And so it's like some of the questions about Sark are legitimate, right? I get it. The guy's also been in the playoffs the past 2 years. I'm not too worried. It obviously was good enough to get there, but when you're on the 13-yard line or you're on the 1-yard line away from going to the national championship in consecutive years, it's yours to take, and you lose the game. Maybe you can call that into question, right? Red zone has been called a lot, and so I think there's something to it's freeing when you're just the offensive coordinator. You can come up with the schemes and the craziest stuff. You have a little extra time. I think Sark's still calling pretty good games. I think the biggest thing actually this year for me has been he tried to call an offense for what he wanted this offense to be. And it took probably about 6 weeks before he realized kind of what his offense was. And that's really, you don't have a running game. So stop running play action because people aren't scared of it. It's pathetic. Our running attack is horrendous. And again, what should be third down back is our now every down back. And he wears down by the end of the game, loses his speed. He's not built for, to play. He's a great blocker, but to take on 280-pound rushers and get hit 15, 20 times a game running the ball. So, it feels like Sark simplified some things, and that was key to it, right? And I don't think it's because Arch, couldn't grasp it, but it's, when Arch has 1.5 seconds to drop back, like, don't go for the, against Florida, the game plan clearly was, we're going to take deep shots. Florida pressured us 35 times. They got in Arch's pocket every single time, multiple times unimpeded. And it's like, all right, you have to be able to adjust when your game plan breaks down. So there's those things. There are. I think I've said multiple times, like, there's no way people are calling for Sark's job. I don't know if you saw this week his emphatic, he's not going anywhere, which is good and how it should be. But I think there does need to be soul searching. I think he does need to spend this offseason thinking about, was he too loyal to some staff? We lost the defensive backs, our DB coach is the Georgia Tech's defensive coordinator now. And our safety coach went to the NFL to the Saints. He's a Louisiana guy. We lost 2 coaches who were the co-defensive back DB coach of the year. They couldn't split it. They just gave it to both of them, right? That's hard to do, to replace that, and we clearly kind of haven't done it, right? So there's personnel decisions that have to be made. You have to think about the offensive line, what's going on there. There's decisions, staff and personnel that he has to do. So there's a lot of soul-searching Sark has to do this offseason, but there's also a lot of football to be played. So without thinking too far down the road, like, can he salvage it against 2 rivals coming into his house? And do we make the playoffs? Probably not. Probably everything has to go right in our favor, and everything has to go wrong in the other. And we need to beat y'all by a lot of points, which I don't think is going to happen with your offense. We got to beat A&M, which, they're a really good team, and they're the opposite of y'all. They keep finding ways to win when they should lose. And so we have to beat both of those teams. Yeah.
What if y'all do that? Does that put y'all back in the playoffs?
I mean, again, my scenario where it would happen, the other things notwithstanding, they have to fall, right? They have to happen. This team has to lose. That team has to lose. But I think if we make a statement against Arkansas, and again, if the offense clicks and they're on and the line can give protection, and we could put up, a good, say we put up 45 points on your defense, which, no offense, like, is possible. Our defense can rise to the challenge and have, hold y'all to 21, and we have a good, solid 3-4 score win. All right, now it's like momentum's back, and then you beat A&M, who I don't think they play anyone this week. It's going to be undefeated coming into our house, and if you do that, all of a sudden, like, the argument gets hard to say, good win over OU on a neutral site. You beat A&M, a top 5 team. You lost to Ohio State and Georgia in their house. Ohio State by like 1 play basically, and Georgia, they stomped us in the fourth quarter, but in the fourth quarter, that was a 4-point game. So there's arguments to be made if you're the playoff committee. I don't think Texas deserves it until I see those things I just said. I have no confidence that that's going to happen. There's a scenario. It's a 5% chance in my mind. Like, something needs to click that I keep saying, oh, maybe it'll click, and it hasn't. I just don't think this is the year. I don't think they have the cohesion, and again, injuries don't help, right? You lose your best defensive, all of a sudden, like, right, things stack up. We have guys who've had multiple small injuries adding up to this point in the season. Like, I don't know. I don't know who's at 100%. I don't know who's willing to step up in the receiver room, who's willing to step up in the running back room, if that person exists this year. So I just think there's too many questions.
Yeah. Looking at that kind of flip side of that scenario you just outlined, what is the chance or the percent that this could be a potential trap game for you guys?
I think it could be if we had not just got our tail kicked, right? I think, like, there's a world where we beat Georgia, like, say that happened in their house, and then we know we have A&M coming in. Absolutely, I think that could be a potential. I think you get your teeth kicked in, and the way it happened, right, with just a absolute foot on your throat coaching move to go for it twice on 4th down on that drive, and then the immediate onside kick just to say, here it comes, like, I'm dropping it on your face. Like, it was just disrespectful in the best way. Good on Kirby. Yeah, I think Sark's going to be pissed off is what he's going to be. I think he knows he got out coached. I think our special teams, which has been a saving grace, got, like, absolutely pantsed. We had a 60-yard return called back on a holding. Like, there was just, like, bad stuff in that unit. So I'm wondering, Jeff Banks, who's a really good and well-paid special teams coach, but has had some blips, like not seeing that onside kick. I don't know. Like I said, I think the coaching staff is going to be locked in, and Sark's going to be pissed off and call a hell of a game. And if these players are anything like I think they are, I hope there's a little pride there, and they're pissed off too. So I don't think Arkansas is a trap game. I don't think that Texas fans have the same, and Texas players therefore have the same vitriol for Arkansas that Arkansas has for Texas. And that's simply just because we have an in-state rival in A&M who, has always been for 100 whatever years. And then we have the next state to us in OU, who's arguably our biggest rival. Like, we have those two ingrained. And so Arkansas was like, man, there was a time in the 60s and 70s when we hated y'all. There's also a time where we didn't play y'all for a bunch of years, and we were in the Big 12, and some of those guys, got more hate because we had to see them every year. So I think this can be a rivalry, and I'm glad that we're in the future pods and playing. I want this to be a rivalry, actually. But I think Texas players have gotten that, like, I think Bielema, for all his credit, got those Hogs foaming at the mouth for that bowl game, and they just absolutely pushed Texas around for 4 quarters, because I think you can play the angle from the Arkansas side of, we hate these guys and they think they're better than you, and that plays really well. Mike Gundy made a career of Oklahoma State coming in and playing Austin, doing that to Texas. So it's a very successful tactic. I just think this is not the year for it, not the week for it, based on what happened. I don't think they'll have that letdown, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's one of my, I guess it's a theory. I don't know what you would call it. Like, Arkansas has been homeless when it comes to rivalry since they entered the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, you have LSU and there's history, right? But there wasn't that history from the state of Texas. Like, you ask any Arkansan, right? They don't like. I like Texas. Like, I go to Texas, I like Texas. It makes me want to throw up when I say that, because like there's Texas, and then there's the idea of Texas, and
Sure.
Arkansans, they just don't like Texas. And
Sure.
the biggest manifestation of Texas is the Longhorns. I'm sorry,
Sure.
A&M, Texas Tech, all y'all. It's the Longhorns, and it is what it is. And so we're sitting here for 30 years not having a single rivalry to hate, and that rivalry's passed on from one generation to the other. And then Texas, like you said, is over here with Texas A&M, Oklahoma. They still play, Tech and all that stuff while they're in the Big 12. They had other things to worry about. So this new generation doesn't really understand that. And then you have those back-to-back games, right? In the Texas Bowl, and then when y'all came to Fayetteville and Arkansas also whooped you. I think that really kind of got it started. I think Sark really does feel this rivalry. I mean, he talks about it all the time on like social media, not social media, SEC media days and stuff like that. So I think I think they'll be ready for it. I think the fans, especially, seeing on social media, I think they're going to come to Austin and they're going to be ready. I mean, Matt McConaughey is going to be on the sidelines whooping it up too. I mean, he's old enough to know the Southwest Conference days.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be a trap game. I think Arkansas is going to have to go in there and, win this game if they want to, but they haven't at all this season. So I'm not picking them to win anything for the rest of the season. I'm not picking this game. I think you said they'll potentially score 45 points. I think they'll likely score 45 points. And Texas offense is just not very good. But hey, I've been wrong before, so let's
see. I think Arkansas is a few bad plays away from giving up. Quite honestly.
Tough spot.
You know what's crazy is that they're a few bad plays away from being probably 9-1 right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a world where y'all are 7-3 and Pittman got extended. By the way, I like Sam Pittman. I think he's one of the generally good guys in football. I'm sure it was not easy to fire him, but the results were there. I get it. But I think he's a good person, a good human being, and that it's hard to find that in college football, right? It's a bunch of psychos in the coaching ranks. But maybe that was his problem. But there's a world where, like you said, a couple of things go y'all's way, and it's crazy. I've been telling people that all week. I've been telling people that for a couple of weeks. Watch out for Arkansas. Watch out for Arkansas. Like, they're not. If you look at the win-loss, you're like, oh, Arkansas is bad. We're going to kill them. Like, the average Texas fan might be. I'm glad that Sark has got his butt kicked by Arkansas and has felt that before, so that's not happened. Because Texas fans might be overlooking this one in favor of the next one. That's fine. But yeah, I'm not. Like, I just think that. And to hear you say that, Hobbs, is like, okay, I see how you get the luck so often that finally you're like, all right, this year's done, whatever. But also, again, like, you've been banging your head so many times. What's the Greg Popovich used to quote it? I don't know if y'all are Spurs fans. I grew up in San Antonio, but like, his phrase was "pounding the rock," right? That was the Spurs motto, and he quoted, old philosopher who basically said, like, you pound the rock day after day after day after day, and it's not the 1,000th blow that breaks the rock, it's the 999 before that one, but that's the one that breaks through, right? And that's a good motto, but also it's hard to keep when you see no result, to keep pounding. Like, I get that. So yeah, I'll be curious, honestly, to see what headspace Arkansas comes in. I hadn't even really thought about the fact that they're just resigned. This season's done, and it's a bust. But I'm not letting up. I'm still going to be on my toes. I'm still worried. You don't let a rivalry come in for the first time in 20 some years and expect not to have a little juice.
Right. And that's the thing too, is, all these guys got left from the Arkansas's perspective. All these guys got left to play for is pride and trying to put together some good tape if they decide to transfer next year. Like that's like, we're not playing for a bowl game.
Yeah.
You're not playing for playoff or anything. Like, these guys, like, they are playing purely that they are tired of losing. They want to have that pride. And to your point is, like, have they gotten to that point with their mentality that, hey, they can be leading in the game late in the game, but in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, we're going to lose by 3 or, 1 possession. Like, but to your point is, like, do they finally break through at some point in this year, or are they just destined to, lose out the rest of the season? And all right, that's just that type of season, move on, new coach, XYZ.
And the thing is with growing up as a Hawk fan and hearing the stories from your parents, because none of us 3 saw the Southwest Conference.
Right.
I was born in '94, so all I've known is SEC. But I know that in the past, Arkansas could lose like every game, and they still beat Texas that year.
Yeah.
And it's a decent season.
Yeah.
Because and I'm not necessarily to that point. I think the season sucked as it is, but beating Texas will be like that little sugar cube on top and the arsenic that we just ate this whole season. So,
and I said as much on my podcast, right? Like, if you got nothing else to play for, you might as well pee in someone else's punch bowl. You might as well take someone down with you. Like, then you feel a little good about it. So yeah, that's why I'm not excited about this one. I just want it to be over in the rear view with a W, get out of it safe without injuries, and not have to face y'all again. Because it's, again, like, I think this can be a great rivalry, not just in football. We had in basketball some big games last year, like where it determined, who was going to make the tournament or not. When we lost y'all at the end, we thought we were out. And I think, that can be a good budding rivalry. I think baseball, like basketball, I think we can both be good.
Tell us what happened in baseball.
Yeah, so I think this rivalry in baseball can be national title deciding in the future, man. So I think there's going to get some hate back just because
title more than likely.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other good SEC teams. I don't want to talk about any of them, but yeah, I mean, it's like, I think Texas is good in baseball this year. I don't ever expect Arkansas to be worse than like 7th, 6th, 5th. Like, y'all are going to be dang good. So there's this rivalry can have some hate. It may be a couple years before it's in football. Y'all get it figured out. But I think baseball and basketball, like, there's other sports. This can blossom. I think it can. I think it will.
Softball too. I mean, like,
absolutely.
Texas is really good, and Arkansas softball keeps going up. So, I mean, all across all sports. And one
track,
of the biggest
I hate
things
y'all track. Y'all always, rob us of. I really finished multiple times national championship runner up to y'all in track. Like, that's the one y'all got us on for sure. We got
the whole country on track though, so don't feel too bad about it.
Yeah. But it's like we said at the beginning of the show. I think at this point, at least for me, I'll watch the games. I'm not going to expect any different than, to lose. It sucks as bad as it is to say that. But I think more or less the entire fan base of Arkansas is just ready to see who our new coach is going to be. And that's the thing that, at this point in the season, nothing left to play for. Of course, we're looking forward to that. It's like, let's get through these next couple weeks. So that way, hopefully we can find a new coach, name him, and, start getting excited about that.
Start building. Yeah. You have something to look forward to. Do y'all have someone, I don't know if y'all said it on your podcast, y'all have someone not even this realistic or you think it's going to be necessarily, but you would like to see that's not like that crazy Nick Saban's coming out of retirement to come to Arkansas or whatever, not something nuts out there, but like realistic that y'all think could start it? Because I'm curious. I'm watching that one closely.
Yeah, for a little bit, at least from, for a good, few weeks there, there was a lot of smoke behind. We thought, okay, could they actually really pull it off with James Franklin?
Yeah.
Clearly the answer is no, and he is in Blacksburg right now. But, then you start going down the list, and this was my question. Austin and I talked about this. At what point do you go down your list of potential coaches where you're like, all right, would you rather you get to, this guy on your list? At what point is it better just to keep Petrino?
Right.
Or or what? And that's the point of the list. I'm interested to see what
Yeah.
candidates do you go through and vet out before you're like, well, we've got Petrino over here. You know what you're going to get.
Right.
Like you've seen it before.
Right.
But, I still think you throw out the names. Like, of course, everybody's going after. You got John Summerall at Tulane.
Yeah.
Another name, Golish at USF. He's got the Florida or the Arkansas connection. His wife's from Arkansas.
I didn't know that. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
There's been the craziness of John Gruden thrown out there.
Yeah.
North Texas coach Eric Morris.
Yeah.
So it's kind of everywhere, and from what I expect, I would expect this to be very similar to the Coach Cal hire, where nobody was really talking about it until it was happening. Like,
sure,
there was no build up to it. It wasn't Arkansas in talks with Cal. It was like no, it was we're interviewing Chris Jens from Mississippi State, and then in the next couple of days, Arkansas is hiring Coach Cal.
Right. Yeah. And that's good. Honestly, good on the athletic department. If that's the case, if they keep it under like that. Same thing. Sark was not really on people's radar for Texas. So, I like it better if that's the way it goes. Just being a San Antonio guy, and he obviously coached on our staff as well, I thought Jeff Traylor might have a little buzz, but I know UTSA has paid him.
That name's been thrown out there as well. And then also,
but he's also a Chad Morris guy too. So that there's some,
there's some bad association there.
Yeah. If we're talking about Calipari hires, though, one of the names that just recently popped up that may have some smoke, and I don't believe it at all, is Matt Campbell at Iowa State. And
I keep waiting. That guy has to make a move at some point somewhere,
You would think, right? I mean, he's done too good at Iowa State to just stay there. But apparently he loves it. I mean, if he wants to come and build Arkansas, I'll take it. I'll be honest.
Well, another name thrown out there that you might be familiar with from Texas is they've thrown out the name of Cliff Kingsbury. Texas Tech had Mahomes, goes to Arizona, head coaches for a few seasons, goes and does an analyst job for a season or two, and then pops back up as the OC for Washington, and has called some good offenses with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, Kingsbury's dangerous. Like, you never know. He if you want a team that's going to be good on offense, switch Petrino out for Kingsbury. He's more handsome, at least, but it would buck the trend of Kingsbury just failing upwards his entire career. He would need to be named also university president in Arkansas or something, because that guy just keeps accruing titles somehow everywhere he goes. But that's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm honestly no smoke just because I'm on this show. As I've been looking around at the open jobs, Arkansas has been the one that's intrigued me the most, probably out of any in the country, because it's SEC, but the SEC is hard, right? If you're coming into the SEC and saying rebuild, it's God, look at everyone around me. So I almost wonder, if I'm Franklin, if that's why it's geez, do I want to go take on that, or I can stick over here and it's kind of pretty and no one gets on me, man. You can do all right there pretty easy. So I don't know. But again, do you want someone with that mentality as your head coach, right? So
I think that actually, I don't think that was really big on his priority list. Now, he has a daughter who has, I don't know what she's sick from, but she goes to Johns Hopkins, so it's closer there. And there were some, from what I've heard, there were some infrastructure things. This is from Mike Irwin, one of the local insider guys. He said there was infrastructure problems that he didn't like in Northwest Arkansas, which I don't know what that means. Maybe it's where the airport is. I don't know. It's about 25, 30 minutes from Fayetteville. So that might be the case. But I don't think it was the money, because the stuff that I've been hearing, Walmart, everyone talks about Arkansas have Walmart money. Walmart hasn't donated to Arkansas like that, right?
Yeah.
They don't really care. Alice Walton, who is, the princess heir of the Waltons, right? She doesn't really care, but I heard that she is getting into it. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But Arkansas's got all these billionaires to come, to their aid from just Walmart. And it sounds like they're getting some, movement that way. And Arkansas could become the next Texas Tech if they
next Texas Tech. It was Oregon, then Tech. Who's going to money whip, man? If I'm a donor and I just, why not?
And I
wouldn't want to become them when we can already beat the crap out of them.
So
I don't know if we can beat the crap out of them this year.
Pretty good this year.
Last
It
year.
pays me to say that. I don't like.
last year was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think that's the thing that's changed this year. And, I think, of course, Arkansas's got the chicken man, John Tyson, who, was instrumental in bringing in Cal. Well, I think, he saw what he could do there. And, he's worked with whoever it is, like to Austin's point, the Waltons. And then also you've got the Hunts up here with JB Hunt.
Right.
And, kind of got those guys together and said, hey, we can make a difference. Let's go, like, essentially fix this football program. And like Austin alluded to, from what we're hearing in terms of, potential NIL between just those three, that's not considering other big donors across the state and other parts of the state, but just those three alone, it's like money, whether it be NIL or a contract, should not be an issue.
Yeah.
It's just getting the right person to come in that all these boosters can get behind. That's been the problem. Is it's like you have one booster that says, oh, I don't like this coach, so I'm not going to donate as much or if any at all. That type of situation, you've got to get somebody collectively that everybody can get behind. That way you can have that success and all the buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like trying to whip votes in Congress.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there needs to be somebody like a speaker of the House for NIL and these boosters.
You get the right name, people get excited. The checkbook's open, right? You'll find the money for
Which
sure.
is why I've been saying John Gruden from the beginning. You're talking about somebody that people will get behind.
Oh yeah,
a guy like that. So
he's been interesting, man. He's rumored and he's never really turned anything down. Like I think he wants to get back in. So
well, I mean, he said in the offseason he wants to get back into coaching and specifically in the SEC. So he's got three options right now.
Yeah, we'll see. But by the way, Texas and Arkansas do not play in baseball this year.
Well, until the postseason, I would assume, right? And maybe we'll meet up in the SEC tournament, or
if they do the regional and super regional like they do to us all the time, we'd be matched with the SEC team. But just depends on how the regular season goes.
Well, they like to put us with A&M, so it's a lot of fun stuff that seeding does to you. But yeah,
exactly. Well, as we get ready to wrap up here with you, Kyle, you want to let everybody know where they can find you guys and your content at for all their Texas-related needs?
Absolutely, yeah. I know that there's needs for these Arkansas fans. You need a little Texas content. No, honestly, we're not the worst, right? That's what I'll guarantee is usually when we talk to our rivals and our folks is like, we're not super sunshine pumpers. We understand. We have our own warts and flaws, and we get why people hate us. So, but no, you can follow Gerald and I do the podcast on any of the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, wherever you can find it, the Longhorn Republic. You can follow us on social media pretty much everywhere at Longhorn Pod, Twitter, Blue Sky. We have an Instagram. Don't really post much there, but pretty much the first two. So, yeah, follow us. You can follow me at Kyle Carpenter. On Twitter as well. But yeah, it's we have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. So come tweet at us, give us some good-natured rivalry ribbing this week. We're ready for it. We're open. We might just give it right back.
There you go. Well, before we let you get out of here, Kyle, do you got anything else before you get out of here? Whether it has anything to do with Arkansas, the rivalry, the game this weekend, anything you want to leave us with before you get out of here?
I'll just say this. I'm not going to make it to Austin for this one, so I'm sad to not be able to get there. I got a little one and just ain't going to work out. But I hope the folks that travel from Arkansas, I know it's not the winning team that you're traveling with that has been a rough season, but if you do make it to Austin, enjoy the city. Great Mexican food. Anywhere you go, you can find something good. It's getting too big for its britches these days. It's huge, but you can still find a little of that old Austin soul. If you need Rex or anything like that, tweet at me. I can give you spots if you're heading up to the city. Hope you enjoy yourself. Texas fans, especially if we win, we're pretty nice. But if we lose, watch out. A bunch of angry folks. But they'll treat you all right. They'll point you in the right direction. Come on up to Austin and have a good time.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us, Kyle. Best of luck this weekend. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't think any of us here expect anything, but hey, maybe at some point all that bad luck turns into good luck. Who knows?
Pounding the rock. We'll see. Hopefully it's next week. Hopefully it happens next week.
Exactly. Well, that's Kyle from Longhorn Republic. We thank you for jumping on, and we'll see how this weekend goes.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Awesome. So that was Kyle from Longhorn Republic. So go check them out, give them a follow. Fantastic stuff they do over there. Like I said, fellow college huddle member and everything. So before we get out of here, guys, we still got to do one thing, and that's our weekly pick'em. And so to give an idea of where we're at so far in the season, I'm sitting at 73-47. Hobbs right there at 70-50. And Austin at 64-56. Quote unquote, Austin not giving him a chance to get back into this by picking the same picks.
Y'all suck.
What?
Oh, so first game in this week's pick'em, we start in the ACC. Louisville is headed to Dallas to Gerald J. Ford Stadium to take on SMU. Louisville coming off a 20-19 loss to Clemson. SMU coming off a 45-13 win versus Boston College, and then having a bye week. Spread for this game, 3.5 in favor of the home team, SMU. Who you guys got in this one?
I'm gonna go Louisville. I still don't like SMU all that much. Louisville, I think they kind of hurt themselves a few times during Clemson. I like them. And I think you guys might choose SMU, so I'm going to pick Louisville.
That's the only way you can try to come back on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely going to SMU in this one.
Yeah, I'm with Hobbs there. You know, it's home for them. And Miller Moss just hasn't been – yeah, he's put up 2,300 yards on the season, but 11 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. You know, just not the most impressive numbers there. Yes, they, you know, did get that win over Miami, but I mean, other than that, you know, not super impressive there. So give me SMU in this one. As we jump over, we go down to Conference USA. Missouri State is headed to Kennesaw, Georgia, to Fifth Third Stadium to take on Kennesaw State. Missouri State coming off a win against UTEP 38-24. Fun fact, UTEP's program apparently now has been funded by the cartel. Kennesaw coming off that loss 35-26 to Jacksonville State. 6.5 point spread in favor of Kennesaw State.
Yeah, just to be clear, that is a joke, right? The UTEP cartel thing. Just to be clear, people thought I quoted something, huh?
This is a joke. It wasn't for real.
Yeah, no, it wasn't real.
No.
People were like, "Why are you quote tweeting this?" And because I had one that kind of blew up from it, and they're like, "Why are you quote tweeting this? It's Intel." And I'm like, I know it's a fake. I just thought it was a funny tweet. And did you say 5-3rd Stadium?
5th Third Stadium is Kennesaw Stadium.
That's
Yes,
Georgia, man. That I'll tell you after the stadium, but I have some thoughts about that. I'm gonna go Kennesaw on this. I didn't pick them last week or something in one of the last few weeks, and I regretted it. So I'm gonna go with Kennesaw again.
I mean, what are we doing here? What kind of game is this, man? Like, I don't care.
There's more.
Like, I know, like Kennesaw State, I guess. Like
Kennesaw State across the board. It is no love for no love for I believe it's Petrino's son-in-law over there at Missouri State.
Missouri State. We'll worry about them in baseball. Like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. Next up, we jump over to the Big Ten. Number 15, USC is headed to Eugene to take on number 7, Oregon. USC 8-2, Oregon 9-1 in this one. USC coming off a win 26-21 over Iowa. Oregon coming off 42-13 win over Minnesota. Spread for this game, 10.5 in favor of Oregon. Easy there. USC's been a hot team this year. Scored a lot of points. 8-2 record on the season. But, you know, this one is an easy one for me. I'm going to go ahead and give me the Ducks in this one. At home in Eugene. 100%.
Without a doubt. Oregon by a lot.
Okay. So this is one of the ones that I'm like, hey, I'm going to choose them, the opposite team. And here, I'm going to tell you this too. Oregon hasn't played anybody good this year. Go look at every single team they've played. Their records, other than like Iowa and Indiana, they all suck. So I think they're a little bit of a paper dragon, to be honest with you. I think USC takes this one.
Okay. Austin trying to get back in this by picking.
Well, you're wrong, and you'll find out.
I gotta make some gambles somewhere.
Oh, next up we have back to Conference USA, our second Conference USA game. Of
Not even the good Conference USA teams. Like
Jacksonville.
What are we doing?
Jacksonville State is headed to Pitbull Stadium to take on FIU. Jacksonville State coming off that win against Kennesaw State, 35-26. FIU coming off a 34-27 win in overtime over Liberty. Spread for this game, 1.5 in favor of the road team, Jacksonville State.
Yo, what is it? What Pitbull Stadium?
Yes.
Is that
Miami.
named after? If that named after Pitbull?
Yes, like the singer.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Miami
That's
305, Mr.
ridiculous.
305. Yes.
Yeah, so just for that, I'm gonna go Jacksonville State because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going FIU here, the home team.
Hey,
I was about to say this one's a fun one. I didn't pick them last week, and
It's
they
not
made me
fun.
regret it. Give me Jacksonville State. Now we go to the American Conference.
Oh my God, here we go
As
again.
East Carolina heads to the Alamo Dome to take on UTSA. East Carolina, another one of those teams, beat Memphis last week 31-27. I picked Memphis. UTSA coming off a 28-7 win over Charlotte. Spread for this game is 2.5 in favor of the road team, East Carolina. They're 7-3 on the season. UTSA is 5-5.
again, not even the good teams from the conference. Like, what the heck? East Carolina all day. Like, what are we doing here, ESPN? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I'll take East Carolina.
Yep, East Carolina, it is across the board. They made me not pick them last week, and they made me regret it, so they're getting my vote this week. Hopefully they don't let me down. We jump over to the Sun Belt, so we continue with these fantastic conference games as Southern Miss is headed to Mobile, Alabama to take on the South Alabama Jaguars. Southern Miss 7-3 on the season, coming off a loss against Texas State 41-14. South Alabama 3-7, coming off a win at Louisiana Monroe 26-14. Spread for this game 1.5 in favor of Southern Miss. Hobbs, the team that's right down the road from you, who you got in this one?
You already know I'm picking them. So Southern Miss for sure.
You know, this one is the one that pisses me off the most because they're 7-3 versus 3-7. No one cares about this game. One, and then you know who's going to win. It's Southern Miss all the way. Why don't you put Arkansas and Texas right here or something? Like, Arkansas has been on this thing like twice. I've had Southern Miss at least 3 times. What the heck is going on with
You have had Southern Miss 3
stupid
times.
ESPN?
That's facts.
So, yeah, Southern Miss.
Yep. Southern Miss clean sweep across the board there. Finally, we jump back over to a Big 12 matchup as TCU 6-4 is headed to Houston to TDECU Stadium to take on 23rd ranked Houston, sitting at 8-2. TCU coming off that loss to BYU 44-13. Houston coming off a win 30-27 over UCF. Spread for this game is set at 1.5 in favor of the home team, Houston.
Yeah, I'm going Houston, and it doesn't matter who I pick whenever I pick. If we're talking about people who's been on here every single week, it's TCU. Like, what the hell is that about? And if I pick TCU, they lose, and if I pick against them, they win. So it doesn't matter. But I'm going Houston. If you guys want to get a win on this one, pick TCU.
Yeah, I mean, it's TCU has not played well at all lately, so I can't. I'm going to have to go Houston. So
sorry, Austin. Clean sweep for Houston it is. So I'm going to take Houston as well.
I tried to get the reverse psychology in there, and y'all
Try
didn't
to-
fall for it.
Oh, as we jump back over to the ACC, the Pitt Panthers are headed to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech, 9-1, ranked 16th on the season. Pittsburgh coming off that 37-15 loss to Notre Dame. Georgia Tech coming off a 36-34 win over Boston College. Spread for this game, 2.5 in favor of Georgia Tech. Give me the Yellow Jackets in this one. I've liked them all season. 9-1, 6-1 in the ACC. I think they get it done here at home.
Yeah, I liked them too. I hate that they lost to North Carolina State because they would be in the playoffs right now if they didn't. But yeah, they still got a chance that they would win the ACC outright to get in there. But yeah, I like Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean they've got
And they play Georgia,
It's-
which they could sneak up and beat them.
right.
They did
I mean,
last
they got
year.
two ranked teams right now that they're going to be going against. So, I mean, they have a chance. They really do. Plus, I think they're probably the best team in the ACC right now. They played a decent schedule. Yeah, I'm going to go with Tech as well.
Yeah. Give me Georgia Tech. I like them, and they're great value. Tim Tebow and Haynes King. No disrespect there for him, but the man has 14 touchdowns on the ground to 10 through the air. So you got to love that. As we continue on here, an SEC game, we have the Tennessee Volunteers headed to the Swamp to take on Florida. Tennessee coming off a very difficult win over New Mexico State, 42-9, and Florida coming off that loss, 34-24 against Ole Miss. Spread for this game, 4.5 in favor of the road team. Tennessee does.
If you're going to have this game on there, why not have Arkansas and Texas? It's a rivalry game. This is a rivalry game too, but what the hell? I don't get it. Tennessee, screw Florida. I'm tired of it.
Well, I think Florida wins this game. I'm not joking. I really do. I
There's
really
one
think
for
they
me.
win the game. They're at home. It's at night. They got nothing to lose. Tennessee neither team's played very well. But, Florida played Ole Miss decently last week. So, I think they pull off something.
Interesting. Hobbs giving the 3-7 Gators hope. They're 3-7, unlike Arkansas. 2 of their wins are SEC wins, though. So that's what makes it different. So it's going to be a tough matchup. This is always a tough one between Georgia and Tennessee. It always goes back and forth. Like Austin said, it's a rivalry game. You know what? For the heck of it, give me the Gators as well. Let's see what they can do. Let's give Austin a chance to make some comeback in this pick'em challenge.
Oh, man.
Final game of the night. Jump into the Big 12. 11th ranked 9-1 BYU is headed to Cincinnati to Nippert Stadium to take on 7-3 Cincinnati. BYU coming off that win, obviously we talked about earlier, 44-13 over TCU. Cincinnati coming off that loss, 30-24 against Arizona. Spread for this game, 2.5 in favor of the road team BYU. And I am going to take the road team BYU over Cincinnati. They've somehow managed to, this season, it's been a weird one for them where they haven't just been overly impressive, yet they found ways to win. Yes, they had that loss a few weeks ago against Texas Tech where we know about Texas Tech and what they did on the offseason and everything, but give me the BYU in this one.
Yeah, I think this game can go either way. I'll take BYU.
Yep, going BYU as well. They've kind of found a ways to win, kind of like A&M. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the college football playoffs as well.
Austin, I heard BYU, but did you mean Cincinnati so you can make a comeback?
No, I didn't.
He said,
I talk a big game, but I'm going to pick the people I like. I'm not going to try that strategy. If I lose, I'm going to lose. If I win, I'm going to win. Well, I'm not going to win this. Y'all are too far ahead of me.
Oh,
Can't catch up in 2 weeks.
Is it end after 2 weeks, or is it bowls? They do the bowls too? Or?
Well, I don't know.
It goes through week 15.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, yeah. But, yeah, so that's our pick'ems this week. We'll see how we all do. Austin, best of luck to you. Maybe Hobbs and I are just, we have a lapse moment this week, and you can make some effort comebacks this week.
Well, thank you guys for giving me a shot.
Hey, we try, buddy.
I'm gonna be like Trevor Brazil and just come out of nowhere and block it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
As we get ready to wrap up, quick update. The Razorback women's basketball bounced back and got the win tonight, 96-57. So a 39-point win for our women's basketball team, as they suffered their first loss of the season earlier in the week to Texas Tech. Bounced back this week to get back in the win column. But as we get ready to wrap up here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. Go check us out across the social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. We've got all of those, so go check those out. And guys, you got anything before we get out of here? Big rivalry weekend with Texas, quote unquote big. More interesting. We got basketball tomorrow, which is, I think, the more favored sport right now. So,
Yes, that's true.
So with that, Austin, Hobbs, myself, we're gonna get out of here. Everybody have a great weekend. Basketball tomorrow night at 7. Football Saturday at 2:30, and then we'll be right back here on Sunday to recap everything with our Razor recap. So everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.